a PUBG Weekly recap show. I'm Paper Thin. With me today, we've got Joel, Sophie, and Ending Life. We're going to break down the first week of the PKL Phase 1 of 2019. And this is really exciting stuff, guys. Quite a week to begin things with. And without further ado, I think we're just going to break into it. I think we had some really great games, and we're going to start kind of going day by day and see how everything panned out for us in this first week. So, day number 1, a week ago from today. Joel, what are your thoughts?
We came into day one kind of wondering over the course of a few months of break how the teams have improved, how they have downfalled, and day one was a good day to track that because we had big teams, VSG, the former Active Stars, Red, who won PAI, and they came in, and obviously Africa Freaks Fatal, who's been dominating the latter half of 2018, came in, same group, and a lot of these other teams were really put to the test, and we did see some disappointments from certain teams, but at the same time, kind of expectations being met by teams like VSG and also Africa Freaks Fatal coming up on top the first day. So overall, a good day, but we did get to see a lot of new teams on the rise as well, just coming up with Kings Road, coming out of literally nowhere, and Element Mystic, a team that wasn't very good majority of 2018, coming up to do pretty well, number 5.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a really exciting day. I mean, we saw some of the top teams kind of be there, but we saw some newcomers. Ending Life. What did you make of Kings Road? I want to get your thoughts on this team because a lot of their players on that team are players we've seen in the past, but none of those players have really been on teams that have had a lot of success.
Well, Kings Road, as Joel was mentioning, they came out of nowhere with this new team. But like you said, also Paper, Hung Kun, Curate, these are some names that we're so used to hearing. They just, they're from different teams. To be honest, them doing well on the first day, yeah, props to them. But I also want to see how well they'll do as this phase progresses because it feels as if they wouldn't have had enough time compared to the other teams that's been together for a long time to have their practice in. So I think the first day it's like half and half, like half luck, half skills, because they are experienced, obviously, as the names I mentioned before. So it's like luck was a little bit on their side, but as the days progress, it'll tell and it'll tell us that if they're actually a solid team, even though it's a new team that's created in this PKL 2019. But they did win, they did perform very well. So I'm just having faith in the quote unquote experienced players that are on the team to lead the rest of the team to victory, I guess.
Yeah.
But otherwise, like, their rotations and, getting into the details. Yeah, you guys probably saw the PKL day one. If you haven't, go watch it. But, their rotations and their shots are solid for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And in case you guys want to see the PUBG Korea League, you can just go to twitch.tv/PUBGKR. That's where all the games are. All the VODs are there as well. So if you guys want to catch up, you've missed anything, go there to check them out. And if you want to watch it live every week, Monday, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Korean Standard Time and Saturdays 2 p.m. Korean Standard Time to check those out. And so going back to maybe some of the other top teams, Joel, Africa Freaks Fatal on day one, I mean, they looked amazing, right?
It's total faith in their team leader style, who's been quite literally the dictatorship of what we know of Africa Freaks Fatal. He literally gives every single command of you do this, you do that, and they have full faith in him and just trusting him the whole time. The first day turned out to be a very, very good thing. 65 points, a complete blowout from the rest of the pack, and Africa Freaks Fatal, very deserved first day victory. But as we know, the second day, we're going to go on to, I'm sure, in a little bit, but it wasn't the same. So consistency is something you always require in a long format where we have 6 weeks to decide who the winner and the best team of Korea is going to be for Phase 1. So it's really important for the teammates, obviously, to keep their faith in their team leader style and to do their parts, but at the same time, really to not let their guard down because it really can fall anytime.
Yeah, absolutely correct. I mean, I think it's going to be really interesting, especially since we don't have those weekly kind of mini finals that we had in the PKL number 2 at the latter half of 2018. So now it's just kind of the cumulative points. So every day is actually strangely more important than it was last season, because last
Yeah.
season was all about just making it to that Friday, final, right? So
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting how things will shape up, and you're absolutely right that it will require much more consistency this time around. So let's wrap up day one with just a little bit of like surprises, good and bad. I want to get both of your opinions. Ending, who surprised you that did really well, and who surprised you that did not do very well?
All right. Well, Joel and I may kind of overlap. I don't know
Yeah.
if we
I
may,
have a feeling
because
too.
we just letting you guys know, we didn't like say, oh, I'll say this or you say this.
No.
We didn't do any of those kind of things. This is like pure live, no communications behind the backstage. So, for me, the big surprise of a team doing well was Element Mystics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for me,
Okay.
because not because of the players, not because, just because PKL season 2, how they performed in the
Yeah.
previous league, previous
Former
season.
Lunatic High.
Yeah, uh, I did have faith in them before they changed their name to Element Mystics.
Yeah.
While they were Lunatic High, just because they were Lunatic High, but
Of course.
they did not do well. But this season, right now, on day one at least, they placed fifth with 14 kills. To be honest, 14 kills isn't that much, because the top three teams, they have 20 plus kills. Africa Freaks Fatal on their first day had 38 kills. So, 14 kills is definitely not enough. But overall placements, they were fifth after day one. So, yeah, they're a team that surprised me, who I did not expect, them to do well. And another team that also surprised me, who I expected them to do very, very well, who did not do well, who did mediocre, was OP Gaming Hunters.
Ah,
And you
yeah.
know, like, I don't know, you guys may think, oh, they did okay because they placed what, ninth out of the 16 teams, but to
Not that
me,
very
OP Gaming Hunters, with that roster,
good. Exactly.
them being anywhere under fourth or fifth is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. And them benching Bents was also unacceptable. So,
That's a
for
whole other
me,
topic, guys.
yeah, that's another topic. But I have to mention it
Not ready
because
for that one. Let's have a
maybe
30
that
minute
is
for
the
that one.
reason why Hunters are in ninth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the rest of the players and the four players that played in day one, they're superb, they're great. But the main shot caller, Mercedes Benz, he was quote unquote the legend, and he has rested one full year because of that ban, and you have to get him out there to get back into shape, and everybody knows that he will do well if he gets back
Exactly. Yeah.
into form. But yeah, OP Gaming Hunters, definitely one of the teams that I looked out for this phase one, day one, but did not do um, you know, to
Yeah.
up to their expectations.
Yeah,
Right.
I want to carry up on that because
Sure.
OP Gaming and Hunters benching Bents for the first day, for the opening day of not having a full year of competitive experience. While it was sad, it was half understood as well, because you want to give the players that were kind of more comfortable in a competitive environment to get the first day out of the way and just allow Bents to kind of monitor that and see where he fits in, if the next day does come around. And of course, I'm skipping the days a lot, guys, but we come to Saturday, yeah, basically a couple of days ago, where Benz had another opportunity to play and he did not. That's where I was on the same anger level as Ending was. It seems Benz is the key player that they need to rely on if they want to have a successful season. I feel like they could be better than Rangers any time of the day with the roster that they have, but just hugely disappointing that they couldn't play Benz and just didn't have enough faith in him. I feel like he would be a superb player. He was literally, I'll say it right now, he was the best player of his time when he was playing for KSV No title back in the day. He was literally the best player, and I think many people would be able to agree with me from the Korean community side of things. But I just want to see more playing time for him. But if I could just kind of just go on with the teams that impressed me, I'm kind of on the Kings Road hype train. I think there's a team that can consistently do well. I think the players don't convince me as much. Ending talked about players being, at best, they were mediocre players in their previous team. They did not really show much for themselves. But over the offseason, in the few months where they did not have any competitive experience, practice makes perfect, I guess, because this team looks like one of the best teams right now. Because if we can talk about top ranked teams, I'm sure we can talk about it in the end of the show. But they look like to me right now a team that can do as possibly one of the best teams right now in phase one.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you guys on everything you guys said. I think Kings Road, yeah, really shocked me. On paper, I looked at this team and I thought, oh boy, this is maybe a middle of the pack team, you know.
Yeah.
But it seems like they've kind of found a style that works for them, especially in the late game. They have a really solid zone control. Like you see them
They're
really,
so smart.
yeah, they're so smart. They control large areas of those smaller circles really well. And in fact, even when the circles are bigger, I was watching on game one of day one on Miramar, they cut off basically the northeastern half of the
Yeah.
map.
Yeah.
And they blocked out like four other teams that needed to rotate kind of through them. So, you know, it was really impressive stuff on their part. So I'm with you guys on that. And yeah, the Hunters were the most disappointing team for sure. I can't disagree with anything you guys said
Can
about
we
that.
add Force into that as well? Ojin and
Yeah.
Force literally kept the same roster that brought them so much success in 2018 and only placed 8th. And
Yeah.
only, I think, is a pretty accurate term on that one because I think we all expected better out of Ojin and Force. Of course, they were my picks coming into the entire year of 2018 and thought they would be the best team, and they were one of the best teams. But 2019, keeping the same roster, Sangjang in that roster has done so well in the latter half of 2018, and it just made sense that KO, Indigo, Yak, these guys should have gotten the job done, but in day one, it really wasn't convincing.
Yeah, Force was underwhelming, and honestly, even though VSG finished fourth overall, they weren't super convincing.
Yes,
You didn't
yes.
see them catch fire like we're kind of almost used to seeing them do, where they'll just pop off and win 2 games and just absolutely kill everyone. You know, they looked okay. You know, Hulk had a couple good moments, and Juani does usually. They're having some good moments, and
Yeah.
if Star Lord can heat up with those bolt action snipers, that oftentimes carries them to some success. But yeah, it was you saw AFF do really well, and everything else I think we talked about was pretty much about kind of what we expected in some ways. But then yeah, we had a couple disappointments there as well. So great, good stuff. So let's move on to day number 2. So day number 1, groups A and B. Day number 2, groups A and C,
A and
right?
C.
A and C, right? Yeah. So we saw a lot of the same teams, like both the Freak of Freaks teams. We didn't talk about the sister team, Ares. We mostly talked about Fatal because, well, Fatal's been is so much better for so long. Even though Roa moved over to a Freak of Freaks Ares now.
Yeah.
So it is a bit of a different Fatal lineup, but like you talked about earlier, Joel, Style is the, like you called him, the totalitarian, the dictator of the team. Yeah.
Freak Freaks Fatal, that's what he is right now.
Yeah, but
in a good way.
Yeah, let's talk about day 2. We'll start with you, Joel. Overall thoughts on day number 2.
Fatal, they didn't do as well, and I think it's one of those off days that could happen to any other team, and I feel like they could come back as long as they maintain their faith in their basically their go-to strategy, which is to believe in style and to follow up in the order, even if it doesn't work out as it did in day 2. They can come back, and I think I'm not really worried about them finishing 11th on day 2, but all the more, the big surprises were on the top of the leaderboard. OP Gaming Rangers having placed in 3rd with 36 points. The Korean casters were talking to a lot about them doing extremely well in the scrims and just kind of transferred their results over and placed number 3 from day 2, which looked really good for them. Quadro, obviously Atlas's favorite team, before he moved on from the PUBG scene, but he really liked the Quadro guys, and they're still doing pretty well. So 2nd, very deserved for them as well. But the team that we all kind of got interested in after the first week, I think we would have to all agree that Detonator is a team that really sparked our eyes because, they maintained Hikari, which was, I talked about Hikari a lot during 2008, being one of the better players in that team. They maintained him while bringing back basically the former friends of Isco, which is Aqua 5 and also Wicked coming from Genji as well. And these 4 guys, they just know how to play. They know how to think with each other, and the synergy is so there. And 53 points, I think the first place finish wasn't really a surprise to me. I figured they would do that well on that day.
Yeah, it's the old Bond Spirit Gaming Luna team getting the band back together, basically. Yeah. So that was definitely the big takeaway from that day. And ending, what were your thoughts on day 2?
Well, I also want to get this out there. Detonators and what Joel said, I agree 100%. And there are, they're one of the teams that I'm also looking out for,
Yeah.
as Joel is, and I'm pretty sure you are too, Paper. But yeah, other since Joel did talk about detonators a little bit, I was going to mention that the old BSG Luna team is back with +1 Hikari being a phenomenal shot. So
So good.
that's just completing the team. And I also wanted to mention that we get all these player swaps here, like trades, and teams trading players, or they're hiring, they're firing, whatever. And detonators at right now at this point, um I think they found the
Yeah,
team, like
exactly.
they
Exactly.
found the combination. The
Mhm.
old BSG Luna, yeah, they were pretty good too. They were stepping up their games, but Wicked left, Isco left, they all got separated. But then, yeah, like, I'm not saying the fourth member on BSG Luna was the problem, but now having back, uh, being back, sorry, on detonators with Wicked, Isco, and Aqua 5, plus that Hikari right there too. A
Yeah,
new
so
player, not from BSG Luna, but a new player that came out of nowhere last year
Yeah.
into detonators, um, is completing their old BSG Luna team to be a very successful team, just having a different tag as
Yeah.
detonators. But yeah, other than that, like, to be honest, since we are actually finally on talking about Group C, DPG Aegon is one of the teams that I
Ooh,
personally am
so good.
looking out for ever since
So good.
last year. Not just this year,
Oh,
not
really?
just this phase. Yeah, since last year,
Okay.
like from maybe the middle of the year, right?
Hmm.
DPG Aegon was a team that's been trying to climb up the ladder by just showing the viewers very exciting games. So
Okay.
other teams that are in the top tier right now, or last year, they had lovely strats, lovely zoning. They had some kills, or some may have gone a little bit more than others. But DPG Aegon, they're just all about zoning and killing. They shoot at
Mm-hmm.
everything, and I think it was day 2 or 3. I'm not. Yeah, I think it was day 2 maybe. But either way, one of the days that they played on, there was a moment when 4 players were alive, and they were taking zones, and they were all separated. They don't do 2-2 splits. They were doing 1-1-1-1, and 4 out of the 3 players on their team, I mean 3 out of the 4 players on their team, they were shooting 3 different targets, 3 different teams. So when you see that happening, even the
Yeah.
Korean casters also talked about that, and you rarely or
Mm.
never see one team with 4 members alive shooting 3 different teams at
Yeah.
the same time, right? You don't do that. They focus on one at a time. They want to, if they're gonna go that way, they're gonna focus on a team that's there, even though there are teams on their other side. But DPJ God, they're just shooting at everything. And if you guys see the score, they are picking up kills here and there, and their first day wasn't as impressive. But I know, and I also have faith in DPG Aegon, that they will be one of those teams that are at the top of the kill feed.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah.
Aegon is, I think, Sean's just endings, Kings Road for me. Where I
Ah.
feel like Kings Row came out of nowhere and they can be the best teams
Yeah.
right now. I think Aegon, which I believe is a really good team right now, but the fact that he said, he's been looking out for them since 2018 was a big surprise for me. But maybe they will be the big team, according to the ending.
Yeah, I think both of those teams have a ton of potential. I mean, Aegon, I remember when we had them in the PKL Phase 2 on Africa Days, Rapid and I would kind of joke around that this team just gets points by getting kills. Like, they weren't able to find finishes on our week. They were just getting like 20 kills in a day, but not getting any placement points. And so I always thought they, like, if you are that skilled as a team with killing, then you just gotta find that groove with your shot calling and make that work. And then yeah, they have a lot of potential. And Detonator, I mean, you remember them back when they were Bond Spirit Gaming Luna. They were kind of similar. They would pop off and have like 30+ kills in one day in 4 rounds. And so there's a lot of potential there. They have the pedigree. And I think I'm really excited to see what these two teams have to bring. Quadro continues to astound me, and we should really talk about that game, the Yasnaya finish, where Quadro ended up getting the chicken dinner.
Anyone could have won that one. Anyone could have won that one.
It's true.
Oh,
It's true. I mean, you look at it, and Quadro didn't even have any kills until like the last like minute and a half or minute of the match or something. But let's break that game down. Joel, what were your thoughts on that one? It was wild.
I just said it. I mean, anyone could have won it, but Quadro, they knew that as well. They knew that anyone could have won because they saw the player alive count. It was massive by the time we got to Phase 7, Phase 8. It was an incredible amount of player that was still left alive, and it meant that the best way to win in that kind of scenario is to just keep quiet, to be stealth, and allow the others to kill off each other, then make the objection at the end that we're going to win the game. You didn't even know we were here, and we're going to kill off everyone who's left alive, which was pretty injured at the time. And Quadro picked a good placement, and the commentators were talking all about it. Their placement right in the center of the circle for most of the last phases of Yas 9, the circle's always landing in the center of the circle. And it made sense because Quadro, they knew how to win in that scenario, which was to literally keep quiet until the last few minutes, where they had basically a non-risk factor kill count they can go on with and then start killing everyone else in the map. And that's this plan they took, and it definitely might not have worked out, but for them, it did work out, and their individual shooting abilities once again shine for them that day.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have anything to add to that ending?
Oh yeah, definitely. Quadro, props to them, and I know that the Korean coach for Quadro is probably not gonna watch this, but I've actually I've actually been playing a lot of PUBG with some of these amateur teams that are actually going into PKC, but we could talk about that later. But why I'm mentioning this is because while I'm playing with them, sometimes the Quadro coach, I don't know if he's the head coach or if he's like the sub coach or if he's just someone that's within the Quadro team to help out. But there is this one guy that is supposedly some kind of a coach.
Okay.
That is also handling Team Quadro as well as Warriors that's going to be joining the PKC.
Okay.
But I've seen them scrim and I've seen them talk, giving feedbacks and stuff. And that guy, the guy that I'm talking about, the Team Quadro coach, I don't know if he's the head or not, but that guy, he predicts circles like a god. Like, I'm a Christian. Joel's a Christian. I'm sorry for saying that. That's how well he predicts circles. And when seeing that Yasnaya game with Quadro just having the best spot, I was like, all right, this guy's behind this. I was thinking this guy is behind this because there were more than 5 times where I was playing, also watching scrims and stuff and hearing their feedbacks and listening into their comms. This guy is just he's not even a player. He's just the guy that stands in the back with the headset in his and a mic in his mouth. And this guy knows how to predict circles. And when seeing that Yasnaya circle, I was like, I had no doubt. I was like, all right, yeah, this guy, he's doing it. He's doing his thing. And yes, Quadro, after seeing that game and after knowing that, yes, it is the 4 players that are actually on the computer and the keyboard mouse doing their thing. It is the shot caller. However, they also need a good coach, someone with knowledge that is able to kind of process and analyze the games constantly and kind of help out the shot callers in between the games and help them out positioning. And that's going to also lead a team into victory.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's interesting is that Quadro did pick up, they dropped Tango, who was arguably their best player in 2018 at the end there when they switched to this new name format, Alpha, Bravo, Delta, Tango. So Tango left, and now they've got Echo, and he is now the shot caller according to their PUBG esports player page. And they're one of the few that has actually done the favor of telling us who takes what position on the website. Yep. The rest of the teams just say stuff like, believe in us, we're going to make it to PGI and stuff like this. And Quadro's like, our member, or this player does this role, this player does this role, this player does this role. And I'm like, well, that's nice, guys. I like that. Thank you. It makes me feel a little more, interested in who's who on this team. I thought Quadro, they were pretty interesting that day. And I mean, like you said, that win, it was gifted to them a little bit. But like you were saying, Joel, they also kind of just took that central circle position and held pat. And, did it stealthily. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I
So
can talk about SKT too. Like, I
go
mean,
ahead. You
it's a
can go
very,
ahead.
very, it's a very, very unfortunate situation because I actually mentioned last year when Adder first came into the team, and obviously he was at a godly state and he did things where no individual in Korean PUBG has ever done before, and he had basically made a name for himself through a couple of games already, and he's still in the team. And Jeff Locke, he's still in the team as well, but they got new players called Nana and a cat or something like that, and
A cod or yeah, something.
the cod, yeah, and that fourth player coming in, and it's we're seeing SKT struggle right now from day 2 and also day 3. They were struggling as well, but can we just call for a very experienced player into SKT lineup rather than just bringing new rookies every time you want to bring in new players? Because Adder is a player with limitless potential, and I think it's not being taken advantage of when you don't have an experienced player leading him on when he's supposed to be expected to be the leader. It just doesn't work the same way. What do you? I mean, I just want to hear your thoughts about that, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Ending. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, like I didn't. I was intrigued with Adder's performance last year, but I wasn't like a huge fan of SKT as Joel was
Yeah.
in the past. But yeah, like I was always agreeing with Joel about Adder's plays and just SKT's plays, Jeff Locke as well, and them swapping their rosters, right? It just seems like I don't know, like it's just my opinion, but SKT, it seems like they want to make a team of new players
Yeah.
and create like a godlike team rather than selecting and trading players that are already existing in other teams or leaving other their previous teams and just picking them up to bring them into a team. So because like you were mentioning before, Joe, like they're adding new players, they're dropping players, but they're all new players.
New players, yeah.
Yeah, they're not players that are on a previous pro team or experienced players. They're always new. So it just seems like SKT, they do have potential with Adder and Jeff Loca and the two drop players that aren't here anymore. But with the at least the two players that are pretty experienced now, Jeff Loca and Adder, SKT in the team itself, they need a little bit of time because if they're doing what I'm thinking they're doing, they're trying to look and find players that'll finish the roster like detonators right now. Like they
Yeah.
rotated the old BSG Luna. They've split up. They ended up coming back together into detonators with Hikari, making one of the best teams right now. So I think SKT is trying to do that, find that perfect, format or formula for the PUBG team with new players. So I think they're gonna need a little bit of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. SKT. I'm a little surprised that I don't know. They didn't go out and try to find like an amazing shot caller,
Mm-hmm.
like someone that can bring that team together because
Exactly.
Adder is an amazing slayer, but they
Mhm.
don't have anybody that's really been consistent with shot calling for that team,
Mm-hmm.
then or now. And so I want them to find somebody who can really rein in that talent that Adder has and try to bring them forward somehow. I mean, I'm just going to throw it out there. Simpson's still out there, I don't know what he's doing, but
Simpson.
but
Hey.
yeah, my boy, but yeah, so yeah, SKT is very worrying right now. They did not play well at all this week. And they had the one big week last season, and since then it's just kind of been not great for them. And there's a lot of other teams that we could talk about that have not been playing great this season, but we'll kind of let them be for now. It's only the first week, so we'll give them a little bit of a pass. One last team I want to talk about and get your guys' quick thoughts on is the new Rangers roster because they really shocked me. Joel, what do you think?
I have no idea. I don't know why they're doing so good. Like I said, it's kind of it literally is the kind of the element mystic kind of situation where they don't have great players, almost like Kings Row situation where they don't have players that we were having the wow factor about in 2018, and they're in the same organization. It's not like they moved to a different roster. Most of the players, Breakneck, he was already in the OP Gaming roster, and Temeria coming in from the OGN side. But altogether, these players are players that we knew, and we kind of knew the expected results out of them. And the scrim results obviously were a big surprise, and maybe it literally is just players that kind of complete the puzzle by being together and allowing each other to synergize off of each other. That's the only explanation I can give, because individually I've never really had any high expectation for any of the 4 players that's in there right now. But placing third, obviously, on day 2 and placing 7th on day 3, it's pretty impressive results.
Yeah, absolutely. Ending, your thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of disagree with Joel regarding the players on OP Gaming Rangers currently. Like for me personally, Mental and Bappo, even in the previous Rangers, I think they've shown great skills and got the approval of the viewers saying, "All right, these are a little bit, players that are a little higher than average within the pro scene."
Okay.
I'm talking about within the pro scene,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
just
yeah.
at all the PUBG players. Within the pro scene, I think I count Mental and Bappo as a little bit above average compared to the other average players that are in the PKL scene right now. And also the Temeria and DG98. I think was DG98 previous Busan GC, right?
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
they're-
He was, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
like if you guys remember last year, GC Busan they came
They
out
were
of
one of the
nowhere
best teams.
also, and they,
Yeah, they
were
were
one of the best teams out
Yeah.
there. And PO going to the Hunters and DG98 coming to the Rangers. I think I don't have enough information, and I haven't seen enough of DG98 yet, just last year. So I want to give him a little bit more time. But like Joe said, I think this roster, right? Temeria, Mental, DG98, and
The
Bappo,
pieces.
Yep, they complete the pieces, and let's just hope that this wasn't just luck on the first day. Like I was mentioning about, it could have been that for Kings Road as well. Not looking down on them, but just the fact that they're a new team out of nowhere, just doing so well. Like,
Yeah,
they're-
absolutely.
yeah, so
No, that's great. No, I didn't mean to cut you off there. So I have 2 quick thoughts about this Rangers team. One is, yeah, I think they have across the board a slightly above average player roster. But what's nuts to me is they lost Eska. And obviously, I'm sure he's still helping behind the scenes with because he was doing the shot calling for them, and he's probably coaching them and working with them and that kind of thing. Maybe, I don't know for sure.
Before he goes to the army, sure, yeah.
Right. He's got to go to the army in a couple months here, so he's taken off for the rest of the year. But they lost him, and they also lost Suck to the Hunters, who was arguably their best player in the PKL number 2 last season. And the Hunters they got him and Pio, and they're just they don't know what to do, man. They're terrible. They laid a huge egg this week. And my other random stat that I've got about the Rangers. So far through 1 week, this is only 1 week, the Rangers have the longest total life span in a game. Survival time, yes. The average survival time, they are the number 1 team in the PKL right now. Okay. So that's pretty crazy that they're getting it done through placement points more than anything. So their rotations are really solid. They're not taking battles they don't have to and that kind of thing. And yeah, they're not popping off and really kind of reaching those limits like we've seen a Freak of Freaks Fatal or VGS be able to do, but they're still a consistent team in that respect. So it's I think it's a testament to their coaching more than anything.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, I also want to you mentioned Eska a little bit, and this may be a little dissatisfying for Eska fans to hear, but to be honest, in OP Gaming Rangers, even in the past when he was on the team and when they were performing, well, I never thought of Eska as the star player. I never thought of, all right, so we have OP Gaming Rangers team, right? Eska is number 1 on their team. I've never thought that. To be honest. Yeah. He's good. He's great. He's above average. He's one of the, I don't know if I should say one of the best players in the Korea PUBG league, but even when he was on Genji, even when he moved to OP Gaming Rangers, I've never thought Eska as the top 1 player out of the 4 or 5, including their subs.
When he was in Genji Gold though for PGI, I think he, at least for that event alone, his experience at the big stages and being allowed to stay composed within that stage. I thought Eska was the best player, at least in PGI for Genji Gold.
Well, if you include the experience from the previous games that he's also played and done well in, if you include the experience in the gaming, Yes, he is number one, but for me, just looking at the games, just looking at PUBG and the plays that he does, like
Mm.
compared to like for example, like when he was on Genji, I still think Simpson was the best player as he was the shot
Wow.
caller, as he was controlling, he was manipulating his teammates to the wins. So I
Wow.
think back in the Genji days, I like above Eska, I think it was Simpson there, and even in OP Gaming Rangers, I still think regarding just shots, Mental and Bappo are still better shots than Eska. Yeah,
Mm.
it depends on the situations and everything, but from what I've known as a gamer, also as a caster, like Bappo and Mental, I think they've been downgraded while Eska was on their team just because he's Eska. He's so
Mm.
Mm.
famous. Yes, he's famous because he's done well, obviously, but there are other players that aren't as famous that are still good or better than him.
Being under-recognized.
Yeah.
Mm. Interesting. Well, great. Oh, great thoughts on this, guys. Really good stuff for day 2. That was great. Let's move on to day 3. We're about 35 minutes into this cast, so we're gonna move it along here. We got so much more to talk about. Day 3, I was able to have the pleasure of going down to the studio to see it live with all of the younger Korean women who are really into PUBG here in Korea.
Girls, they're not women yet. They're not even 19. Quinn.
Oh man,
You know the paper.
it's a little disorienting because this thing that maybe people outside of Korea don't really know this, but in Korea the vast majority of the people who come to watch PUBG
Yep.
live are women, young
Yep.
women, and it's almost like kind of an idol culture here. So it's really interesting to see it, but they get really into it. It's actually really exciting to be there. They're so excited to be there, and you can tell who their favorite teams are and who they're into it. There was a girl there who was really into Aegon, so when they ended up getting the chicken dinner on day 3, she was beyond ecstatic. But anyway, it was fun. But Joel, what are your thoughts overall for day 3, the last day of week 1?
I feel like the teams that should have done well did well, and that was it. It's Kings Road, Aegon, VSG, Detonator, literally sharing the top 4 because they were separated by literally a minuscule of 1 or 2 points. And obviously, Entus Force came in the mix as well, 35 points. Did very well to prove their worth after not doing so on day 1. But it's a very, very nice result in terms of what we were previously thinking about these certain teams after seeing them on day 1 and day 2 and then kind of expecting how they would do in day 3. And it literally turned out to be kind of the formulated factor.
Yeah, absolutely. It felt a little more consistent in what we'd expect, and I think this is groups B and C, which are the teams that are going to be playing tonight here shortly again. And it almost feels like they're probably the 2 strongest groups put together. So you kind of expect to kind of see that the top play and really all the teams kind of much closer in their point margins per se. Ending. What were your thoughts on day 3?
All right, so I don't know if you guys know, but there is a team that's called Team Square.
Oh, yeah.
There is a team.
They're quite good at
There
it.
is a team called Team Square
That's good.
who is participating in this phase 1. Just in case you guys didn't know.
Oh, why are you guys laughing so hard
They
about
do
Team
exist. They do exist.
Good.
The reason I'm mentioning this is, it's just a fun fact that Miracle,
Yeah?
the previous Rogue Centurion guy.
Oh, yeah,
that he's
they're-
on that team.
They're the rebranded Rock Striker.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
They are the rebranded Rock Striker and
Yeah.
Rogue Centurion, if you may, from season 1. Miracle is there, and don't lose hope for them. Just because
Miracle,
they're at the bottom of the standings, because they are in this group and they will be playing today, like Paper said. But the reason I mentioned Square was it's just a fun fact. It's not really anything like super important regarding the PKL season, but there is one player that has been coming out as the 4 player called Ayo. I don't know if you remember, if any of you remember.
I saw him.
Ayoh. He's one of the players that I've known while I was playing with the amateur teams. He's actually one of those amateurs that made a team that registered for PKC. But then he passed the test for Team Square during that time. So, unfortunately for his PKC team, he left the team, forcing them to try out as a 3-man. And Ayo, who's currently on Team Square, is on the starting roster. So good for him. And you know, I want to see how well they do because they obviously they've been at the bottom of the standings. So yeah, that's that. But other than
No,
that,
that's
like,
it's a team that
mhm,
looks good, but turns out not having any points.
yeah,
They look good
Yeah.
at times.
Yeah, it's cool to have Miracle back. I mean, he's a guy who
mhm,
has a lot of personality and
mhm,
is, very funny in his like interviews and when he's on stage. And I mean, I think we all remember after the PSS #1 win, right? When
yeah,
Rog Centurion won, how emotional he was about it, and
yeah.
we
Yep.
really got to see something kind of cool for Korean PUBG where we don't really get to see that with a lot of these other teams. They just kind of walk up there and hold their trophy. They're like, "Yep, we did it, guys! Like, good. Like, let's go home." And like,
Yeah,
so it's cool to have him back.
yeah.
What else? There was something else I wanted to talk about on day 3. Ah, yes. Okay, a team we haven't talked about much. Kind of surprising. Joel Genji. What's going on with them?
Genji, my faith is not in them quite yet. Paper.
Mm,
Genji, they lost too many factors, and they're still mixing around a lot of players. They had Wicked for a very short phase last year, 2018, but dropped him, and he went to Detonate. Now he's having a blast.
Yep.
yeah.
This current Gen G seems like they've lost all the pieces that brought them a lot of success in the past. They lost Eska, and I thought Eska, despite what Ending said about Eska, I think he was at least number 2 best player in that team next to
Oh yeah, he
Loki.
was a good player. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I feel like him and Loki kind of made what Genji Gold did in PGI, and I feel like that's my personal belief on that. But they lost Eska. They lost obviously Simpson, the primary shot caller that they had, and they're bringing in Esther, who's been doing great. I'm sure no credits away from Esther from what he's already been doing in Phase 1, but Loki is not the same Loki that we saw in 2018. He was the really high player and was able to do things by himself where the entire team couldn't back in last year. But just this year, it's not the same Loki, and uh, you just don't remember moments out of Gen G where you say this team is gonna do really well in Phase 1, and you expect good things out of them the next time you see them around. So for me right now, Gen G placing 8th, it might be even a good result for them, and I don't know how better it's gonna get for them. I think they need drastic changes to make sure they need to figure things out because 6 weeks is all they got.
Yeah, absolutely. Ending, anything to add on to that?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I was waiting for my turn. I was waiting for my turn.
Attaboy, you
But
got it. You got it.
yeah. Genji, I mostly agree with what Joel was saying about losing players and adding new players. And all right, so the current Genji roster right now is Esther, Claytor, Loki, Taemin, and
Yeah,
on the bench or on the sub they have Megzora, who is also a very good
been
player.
playing a lot. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's also a very good player. But I don't know if you guys remember last season, just recently, you guys remember there was a player called Dozer
Yes.
who actually played
oh
one
yeah,
game
Yeah.
that was on
yeah.
Gen G. He did like it was his debut, and we were talking, and we were wondering if he'll do well, but unfortunately he didn't, and he's not on the roster anymore.
Uh-huh.
So if you guys notice this, if you guys see this, this transition, Gen G is also, they know that they're having a hard time with the roster right now, so
Mm-hmm.
they're adding in Dozer, which was a very young player, young and new, and now they got rid of him. Now they have Taemin on the roster. They also got Megzora on the roster after losing Eska and Simpson and everybody else, and Genji also becoming one after having Black and Gold, adding
Yeah.
Esther to this roster as well. So there's been like big, huge changes in this organization regarding PUBG. So I think you know we always go back to the puzzle pieces, like they don't
Mm-hmm.
have to be all great players
Great players. Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
a team to do well.
Yeah.
They just have to find the right puzzle pieces that where the 4 and the 5 players kind of mingle together very well, and become one team and do well. And right now, Genji getting rid of Wicked and having Wicked for a very short time, and release getting rid of him, or letting him
Haven't
go,
used it that much either.
is
Right.
one of the biggest reason I think from seeing the roster is because they have 2 main shot callers, which is Esther and Wicked, and that's gonna cause problems unless they get rid of one, and unfortunately for Wicked, or it could have been a fortunate thing for him going to detonators and having a blast, like Joe said. But having two main shot callers is not ideal for a team. That's gonna cause problems within the team, and during the games as well. So I think Genji just decided to stay with Esther, who's been with the organization since Genji Black. So uh, now I'm pretty sure Esther is the main shot caller. But adding Taemin to the roster was a surprise for me.
Firepower, that's about
Yeah,
it.
it is firepower, but uh, late last year and even this year, Taemin's form, as the Koreans call it, his shot form or whatever, has been off compared to when he was, on the uprise.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like it's just his personal problem, I guess, for him to kind of get back his shots. But
Sure.
yeah, the puzzle pieces is, I think, the biggest issue here.
That's a great point because I think that the more we watch competitive PUBG, we're starting to realize that you don't need golden puzzle pieces.
yeah.
You just need paper puzzle pieces that fit together, and that is how you win the game, rather than having 4 golden puzzle pieces that don't fit together, and it just doesn't work out that way. I think that's what we're kind of starting to learn when we're watching PUBG sports more and more, that these, quote unquote mediocre players that we thought weren't going to be up for success, when the 4 of the right ones meet up and form a team and they get the right coaching staff and they get the right support from the organization, they do incredible things. And we saw star players who have obviously made their moments individually from different teams, and they try to form this one super team, but it just doesn't fit together. You become a team where you just don't know what direction you need to take. And I think that's a very important point you're making, Andy, because I think I'm on that same page with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you guys are 100% right. I mean, a lot of it comes down to not just the pieces being able to fit together, but then the right person putting those pieces together, right? I think Genji is struggling a little bit, quite frankly, because Esther's not a bad shot caller, but he's not a great one. He's not a Style. He's not a Star Lord. Some of these guys that we could think of right away when we think of really good shot callers that have come out of Korea. I mean, it used to be Sexy Pig, but these days it doesn't seem like that's as much the case.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can remember. Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to cut in. If you just noticed what paper you were naming the great shot callers, maybe Esther's not as great because his name doesn't start with an S.
Oh,
Simpson, Sexy Pig.
That's
who
true.
else was there?
Oh my God, you're right.
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Style, Star Lord.
Style, Star Lord,
Oh my
all
word.
start with an S.
That is worth cutting me off for.
He should be Sester or Sister. The
Sester?
change his name to Sister.
Sister. Genji's sister.
Oh, I love it. Oh my God, that's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
funny,
continue.
ending. Oh no, that was great.
I just
No,
wanted to add that
it
in.
was totally worth it. Totally worth it, man. Nice observation. I was just saying, like, I remember the game where the circle ended up down by Milta on day 3, right? And it was kind of in that really flat open area that's in between Milta Power and Milta. It's like just an awful place for a circle to end because there's like no cover and there's not much terrain differentiation. But Genji still had all 4 members. They had vehicles, and they had the ability to, get in, take the center of the circle or something like that if they so chose. But then Esther poked his head out, got himself killed, pretty much for nothing. And then the rest of the team tried, and they ended up getting second. And so they just don't seem to click. And like you said, Joel, you made a really good point earlier that Loki just does not look like Loki. He's potatoing shots. He's not making good decisions. And so it's a little surprising to see overall. So yeah, Genji, I'm still hopeful that they'll turn it around and maybe get it together. But it seems like now they're starting to get surpassed by some of these other rosters here in Korea. So great stuff. Final thoughts on the week. I want you guys to each, first of all, give me your MVP for the week. And Joel, I'll give you the first pick so you can snipe our picks.
Dang. Wow. I think a player that deserves a lot of recognition is Hikari.
Yeah.
I think when you're joined in by players that you're not used to playing with. Did I snipe you, ending? Did I snipe you?
Yeah.
Okay. No, but I think you can even mention him ending for different reasons. Because my reason for picking Hikari is that when you're joined in by 3 new players that you probably haven't played with for a long time, he's played with Isco, he's played with Aqua 5 for basically just one season alone, but you know Isco, you know the Aqua 5, you know the Wicked. These guys have been playing for a long time together. They're basically just family over there, and basically 3 different family members joined this new family member called Hikari, and Hikari has a lots of responsibility to do in terms of adapting in, not trying to force his own ways onto the other 3. For him to adapt and meld in to the other 3 players, I think it's a very, very difficult thing to do for a lot of pro players with a lot of ego out there. But Hikari, incredible. Obviously, individually, he's extremely talented, but at the same time, he's got the right mindset that's really up for success. So I think MVP-wise, he's a great, great player.
Absolutely. So, Ending, you tend to agree with him.
Well, yeah, I was actually thinking of 2 players, Hikari and Under from
Under's great, yeah.
DPJ Aegon, just because, like I said at the beginning of this podcast, that they were one of the teams that I was looking out for. But I also want to, since Hikari was taken, I'll pick a new. I don't want to pick Under.
Okay.
I was just in a dilemma with the 2 players, but since you did pick Hikari, I also want to kind of, it's not a snipe, but one of the players on the Kings Row.
Oh, you're gonna snipe my pick. You're gonna snipe my pick. I feel it. Go ahead.
Well, I don't know. Like, I don't think it's a snipe, but I wanted to pick someone that was not as popular or unusual, but this guy is I guess pretty popular or known that he's been part of the PKL for a while. Hunkan is
Hunkan is
that I was gonna
great.
go with because all right, so I'm not sure if he was the top damage output on for Kings
Day
Row
3.
throughout the whole day, but there were times where he picked up just like 3 kills.
Incredible.
Like,
He had
just
7 kills in one game.
Yeah,
in one of the
so-
Yeah,
games.
he's crazy.
So like Hunkan is also another player, even though like I said before, Kings Road is Joel's team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I still think Hunkan has done a great job for the first week.
Yeah.
So he is. I don't know. It just feels like for me, saying DPJ Aegon, who is a fighting team, right? Like they love shooting, they love picking up kills and getting knocks. It just feels like for me, like getting kills and showing the excitement to the viewers and me while I cast or watch is something. It's a value that I consider very important in this league. So yes, getting the first place, getting the chicken dinner is also very important, but we're viewers. We want to enjoy this esports, right? And when we enjoy it, we don't enjoy it when a team does a 2-2 split and stays there for like 2 phases or 3 phases because the circle is on their side.
Right.
We enjoy it when like Hunkan gets 7 kills in a game, or when DPG Aegon are shooting 3 different teams at the same time. Like that kind of motivates us and allows us to think, oh, what the hell is going to happen next? This guy is shooting. This team is shooting at 3 teams. I wonder what they're gonna do. That kind of creates a road in our mind, like to fantasize of what's going to happen to this team.
Yeah.
Like that creates excitement as well. So I don't know. It just feels like I get dragged into Hunkan because he is a great shot and he picks up kills.
I believe he's also the shot caller.
Is he?
I think so. It
I
sounded
think
like
so.
in the interview that because he was very confident and well spoken, while P-Bands, who is with him, who is a player who has been gone from the PUBG Korea for a long time, but has come back, and boy, did he pick the right time to show up.
Oh yes.
But I'm pretty sure Hong Kong is going to be the shot caller for them because he sounds like he kind of was the one talking about their strategy and their general ideas. If he's not, he understands it very well anyway. So you did snipe my pick. He was going to be my. we're going down the snipe tree here. Joel snipes ending snipes me. So I will go with actually Gak from Aegon. Gak actually had the most kills for Aegon this week. So he was my pick. He looked really impressive. His shots were really good. His recoil control. The whole team from Aegon has outstanding recoil control.
Yeah.
They're just so good. I was gonna pick Maknae, but then I remembered that he potatoed really hard in the
Mm,
last game on
yep.
day 3, so I couldn't.
Have your
I'm
faith
like,
in Mane. Mane is a great player.
he
We
is.
believe in him.
Oh,
Gonna be great.
the game before he basically won the game for them at the
Yeah,
end,
exactly.
picking up 2 kills when they were outnumbered. So he's great. I love Maknae. But I went with Gak as my other pick. I picked 3 just in case 2 got sniped from me. So,
Yeah, there you go.
yeah, but yeah, great picks, guys. I totally agree. This was a really strong week, a great start. We had some really exciting stuff. We had a lot of people get run over on day 3 as well,
Yep.
which I thought was pretty fun and crazy. And overall, it's good. I think another thing I want to touch on real quick: the new rule changes. We haven't really talked about it too much. Maybe
Oh,
just real
yes.
quick. I like
Yep.
it. What do you guys think?
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah, Joel, what's your feelings?
I feel like the best thing that changed in the recent couple of seasons we had coming to the late parts of 2018 was that they didn't reward anyone but first place. That was kind of the very end of 2018 where so many rank points were given to the first place and nothing else was given to second and below, which I think was a good direction movement because I feel like you always need to feel like when you get second in PUBG, you shouldn't be happy.
Yeah.
You should feel like you're mad that you didn't get first, and you should have that kind of emotional surge every time did not get that chicken dinner. And I think that was the extreme way to take it by giving all the points over to first place, and nobody else gets any points after that. But maybe PUBG did feel like more balance was needed. That second is still good while not the best, so giving 6 points instead of 10 points for second place, and obviously 1 point incremental all the way down to the top 8, I think is a great strategy because another aspect that we would talk about is like on the other side where the bottom of the phase where you go from 9 through 16 not getting any points. I think is actually a good implementation because when you drop out as the last team, you don't want to feel like you just literally ruined the entire day and you have no chance of coming back. But from 9 through 16, because you get no rank points, you can always strive to get the top 8 at least. But at the same time, getting out at 16, getting out at 9th just means like you really tried hard to get to top 8, but at the same time, you're not really going to lose out that much. You can try once again, better luck next time.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that the new point system is really nice, much better than
Quite
it
good.
used to be. What about ending? What about the circle settings for this
All
new
right,
season?
so I have a lot to talk about regarding the rules. Like, not a lot, but a little bit
Keep
more.
it short.
There you
We're getting
go.
close to an hour.
Okay. So I want to touch up on the point system a little bit. Like, so when we watch esports, we're used to mostly seeing 2 teams just duke it out, and then one wins, one loses, right? Like, so what Joel was saying, you know, they could have somehow found a way to just give all the points to the first place, and everybody from second to none, second to bottom could have gotten nothing and just work for their point through kills, I guess.
Mhm.
But that would have been very hard, and some people might have thought it was so unfair because there's 16 teams participating, not just
Yeah.
2. So I understand, and I actually do like and agree with Joel and agree with PUBG of this new point system where first place gets a little bit more rather than first gets 10, second gets 8. First gets 10, second gets 6. So first does get a little bit more benefit, and everything else Joel mentioned about this point system and U paper, I agree with, and I agree with PUBG. So I think that's that for the
The points, yeah.
point system. But the circle, oh my gosh,
You like
love it. Finally,
Yeah.
they found the sweet spot. All right.
Yeah.
So back in the day, and even in public games, when you first get on the airplane and you land, there's a delay, and then when there is the wait time for the circle, right? You see the count on top of your minimap. It used to be 5 minutes. It's so long, and then they
Yeah.
shortened it down to 3 minutes, which is actually right now it's 3 minutes.
Mm.
But at the end of last year, right? Like, oh, actually, no, PKL season 2.
Yeah.
We always got the circle first
Right.
on the airplane, right? You remember that, right?
Yeah.
That tilted me very hard while
Mhm.
while I was casting. I was like, and they got rid of the landmarks because of that. 'Cause,
Right.
depending on the circle showing at the
Yeah.
beginning of the plane, teammates or teams could decide where they're gonna land. Because personally, I kind of liked the idea of some teams having landmarks, and also sometimes in the beginning of the season, at least some of the landmarks kind of overlapped where they had to fight for it. You know, like I kind of like that fact, but eventually it became where all these teams kind of um, had an agreement, like an invisible agreement, where unspoken agreement, where they're all gonna land on different landmarks, and we don't get any early fights, which was kind of dull. So, which is why PUBG brought out that early circle. But yeah, this circle right now with the 90-second wait, right? So that's a minute and a half you wait. That includes the plane ride,
Mm.
and then so once you're on the plane, that 1 minute and 30-second countdown starts. So you're riding the plane, you're dropping down, you're looking for cars, you're going to your quote unquote landmarks, or your shot caller tells you to go. So that kind of eats up the minute and 30 seconds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
right after that, you you get the countdown on top of your minimap, the 3 minute wait. And I think 3 minutes is perfect.
Yeah.
Because we've tried 5 minutes. We've tried the circle showing up first, and it did not go well. That's why they changed it.
Yeah.
And also, that's not the only thing. As it gradually goes, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, right? The wait gets super short. It goes from 3 minute wait for the first circle to a minute and a half to a minute and 50 seconds, and it goes like it stays with 50 seconds. And I think that minute wait is perfect because it's not too short, but it's not
Yeah.
too long.
Yeah.
Because by the time you get into phase 4 or 5, these pro players and that are alive, that are in the circle, they already know majority of what's going on around their environment, and they don't have to worry about that. But for the teams that are outside of the circle, that has to rotate in to the circle, right? I
Yeah.
think a minute, maybe even a minute to a minute, like 20 seconds, minute and 30 is too long. But I think around the minute is just the perfect mark for maybe phase 4 to 5 to start with.
Yeah.
Give the teams that are outside of the circle to assess the problems, like assess what they have to go through, their obstacles, kind of try this and that, because if they get into a firefight, that's going to eat up their time to get into the circle. So I think a minute starting, right now, phase 4, phase 3 is a minute wait. I think that's perfect.
Mm. Yeah, I think
Can I say
overall,
something to that too?
yeah. What's that, Joel?
Can I say something to that too? Like just the circle settings. I
Yeah,
really
go
like
ahead.
it.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, absolutely.
I have an engineer background coming from an engineering school, so I really like when numbers fall into ratios really nicely, and I think this circle setting kind of hit the spot with that. You talked about the 3 minutes away, and all that together usually leads to about 5 minutes of farming time totally. When the game time hits about 5 minutes, everyone kind of starts moving to their first location. That's usually the average around. Then around the 15-minute mark, that's basically the halfway point of the entire game, because the game usually lasts about 30 minutes or so. 15 minutes, we usually see the first team get knocked away.
Right.
From the 16 going over to 15. And from that first 15 minutes, when it's preparation time, and from that last 15 minutes, when there's that first team going out, that's when most of the action begins. And I like to see that, because when you get the first 15 minutes and the casters can talk about a lot, then you can see the players kind of see what they're thinking about moving through their first few phases. And then you can expect at the later half of the game, which is going to be the 15-minute mark all the way to 30-minute mark, that's where most of the action begins. You can kind of start to view VODs a little bit differently as well. If you don't get to catch the actions live and you decide to watch the VODs, literally just watch from the 15 minutes on, and you'll be expected to catch most of the action that becomes very significant to the end of the match. So, I like how it falls really average, and it's really consistent almost every time. That first 5 minutes of farming, then the first 15 minutes of preparation, then the latter 15 minutes of all action. And it's really good to see where you can expect something to happen at a certain point in time. And I think the circle settings really have done well here.
Yeah, I agree with you guys across the board. I think it's really just kind of cut a lot of the fat. Like, we're just not kind of wasting a lot of time in the games anymore. Yeah. And I really like now at the end that the final circle comes out so quick that it's forcing these teams to have these final circle battles that are really exciting and really intense. And I think that's great for PUBG as an esport. So overall, thrilled with what the changes are. Everything has been so fun to watch. Final thoughts on the PKL. We'll do a quick prediction. Just give me the teams, the one or two if you want, maybe top three.
Top three.
Top three teams for this season. Joel. Actually, let's do Sean first. Let's do ending first because
So
Joel, I gave you. Yeah,
he
you got to snipe him last time.
You get to snipe
It's
this time, right?
ending's turn.
All right. So for me, I'll name my top 3 teams, but it's not gonna be in order.
Okay.
You guys can put it in order, but for me, I'm
Smart.
like, I have faith in all these 3 teams that I don't know who's going to be in what. So I'm just gonna name 3, not in any specific order. But so my top 3 for this phase, not this whole year, just this phase,
first phase.
is going to be Africa Freaks Fatal.
First.
No, it's not in order.
I'm just
Jeez.
I'm just trolling.
Stop. All right. First, all right. Cancel that. Detonators. Or it could be Africa Freaks Fatal. Or it could be DPG Aegon. I don't know.
DPG, Freak Freaks
But
Fatal.
yeah,
and
those are my
Detonator.
3 teams that I'm looking out for. Yeah.
I like it. All right, Joel, go ahead.
I have specific orders for my
Okay,
teams.
go ahead.
Detonator will be number 1. Kings Road will be number 2, and VSG will be number 3.
Okay, ooh, I like it.
Yeah.
Pulling Fatal out of the mix there. I like it.
How about you?
I'm gonna go VSG number 1.
Ow.
I think Detonator number 2, and I think Entus Force is gonna turn around and be our number 3. I think there's still the potential there. I'm still holding hope that because they never quite get to that top spot, but they always kind of
at number 3,
compete
though?
for it. Yeah, number
There's so
3.
many
I'll
good
give them
teams
number
right
3. There are a lot of really good teams. I mean, Aegon's up there for me as well. That's a team I really feel like has potential. Who knows about Kings Road? I'm still not 100% sold, but I'm hopeful because that's like a really cool storyline if they do well.
Yeah.
So
They seem like the shoot to kill team from MPL.
yeah.
They resemble a lot of them from MPL. Like when they shoot to kill kind of came out of nowhere, all the way from preseason, and now into phase 1, they're doing really, really well. And now they're considered one of the best teams in North America. I think Kings Road is kind of resembling mirror by mirror into what the playstyle has been, getting a lot of kills, but being very smart as well. I think we can expect a lot from Kings Road and from Aegon as well. Aegon would be number 4 if I had a choice.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. One final stat to throw at you guys, since we all kind of tend to agree on Detonator. Detonator is averaging over 7 kills a round so far in the PKL, so they're absolutely tearing it up right now. And that's pretty high up there. Usually by the end of the seasons, where they're averaging like most teams, like the best teams are averaging around 6 kills a round. So 7's quite a bit. So great stuff there. So last thing, guys. We've got the PKC coming up. You guys got it on OGN, so give us a breakdown of the schedule and what to expect. Whoever wants to take it, go ahead.
Tuesday and Sundays, and that's what we're going to have on twitch.tv/OGN Esports. That's the same channel where NPL is held on, so casualties coming from NPL. I mean, if you guys are really enjoying that program, I'm sure you'll enjoy us on the cast as well, because I think the production will be working really hard to get the right things on, and obviously the schedule will be Tuesday. Starting actually tomorrow will be our first cast. We'll also post the links on Twitter if you follow either Ending or myself, and we always post before we go live. But Tuesdays and Sundays should be very, very fun. Hope you guys join us.
Yep, we got your guys' Twitter handles underneath your names there, at Joel Sophie and at Ending Life. And is it 7 p.m. Korean Standard Time?
For Tuesday, and Sunday is going to be 12 p.m.
12 p.m.
Tuesday it will be 7, and Sundays it will be 12 p.m. And like it is the English broadcast that we are advertising or talking about right now, and I hope that the time, the difference will still be okay for the English speaking viewers to come in and watch.
Yeah,
because one time being 7 p.m. and the other time being 12 p.m. It's just going back and forth. So,
yeah, it is a little bit different, but I think 12 p.m. is good. That's for most of America in the evening, and most people haven't quite gone to bed yet. So for and then Europe, it's during the day.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good time for that, especially. So I hope everybody tunes in. Please check that out. Twitch.tv/OGN Esports starting tomorrow, 7 p.m. Korea Standard Time. Really exciting stuff, and not too far from now, we have the PKL coming up about just about 45 minutes from now. That'll start twitch.tv/PUBGKR and
PUBG Korea.
PUBG Korea. Sorry, PUBG Korea. PUBG Korea. Thank you. Not PUBG Korea. PUBG Korea. And that's going to be really exciting. Groups B and C, the same teams from Saturday. Definitely a lot of heavy hitters going to be playing in that. So I think that'll do it for us, guys. Thank you so much for being on. I can't wait to see what the PKL has in store this year. And this was fantastic. I look forward to talking to you guys again soon.
See ya.
Yeah, that was a great show. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Paper.
Of course.
Really great.
It's gonna be fun talking with you guys. The Korean PUBG, the PUBG guys in Korea, and then in 40 minutes we get to watch and see if anything that we talked about.
Sure.
Yeah, we just cursed all the teams that we said are gonna do good. So Detonator, the Kings Road, they're all dead. We just cursed them. I got my PUBG death note here, and it's over. So. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. That'll do it for us. We'll be back next week with some more PUBG Korea action, and we'll see you guys next time.